Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for clicking the video. It means a lot that you guys keep clicking. If you guys keep clicking, I'll keep making. And today, I feel like it's time to talk about what I discussed in my last video, which is that I think that Survivor is in a spot where it's losing its longtime diehard fans, both literally with them actually not watching the show live anymore, as we're seeing with the worst ratings for a Survivor season ever coming from 41, or figuratively with fans who like the show enough to keep watching, but not enough to actually show enthusiasm or excitement for the upcoming season's episodes, casts, and twists. And so I think that anyone can sit and complain all day about what's going wrong in Survivor, but I think it takes much more effort to pose the question: how are we going to save Survivor? Before we start, this video is sponsored by no one because life isn't fair, but it should be sponsored by the 6% of you guys who are actually subscribed watching this. That's right, 94% of you guys who are watching these videos are not subscribed. Let's change that. It's easy and it's free. If you haven't already seen the first part of this little two-part series where I find all of the problems with the show, and then in this video I'm going to give you the solutions to the show, then go ahead and check that out. I'll probably put it in the top right corner right now, like the little link thing, so click on that if you haven't seen that already, and then come back to this after. So this is really simple. I'm just going to give you guys 3 things that I think need to go, and 3 things that I think need to stay, be increased, or be added to the show. And I feel like some honorable mentions that you might be expecting me to talk about, but I'm actually not going to, are firstly, and I believe that's what the thumbnail is to this video, is the auction. I actually don't care about the auction. People seem to really care about the auction. I think that saving the season is much more important than an 8-minute segment in the show that is pretty fun to watch most of the time. Other times it's a dud, but usually it's pretty fun, or at least it used to be. So even if we have a great auction, there's like 42 minutes in one episode, and then times that by the 12 episodes, you're looking at 600 plus minutes, I guess, of screen time to create the story. I don't think that 8 minutes of an auction that doesn't really affect the show that much is going to do anything as far as saving a season or saving a series. Maybe saving an episode, maybe, but even then, probably not. Another one that I've talked about in the past that I feel like should go is the beware advantages. I also don't really like that, although I'm not going to go into it in this video, just because in this video I feel like that's almost too low-hanging fruit. I've already talked about that in past videos, and I feel like with that I'm more focused on big picture things, whereas I feel like that's going to go after Survivor 42, because with 41 and 42, the people going in didn't know about the advantages existence in the first place. And so I do think for sure that the beware advantage is bad, but I don't think that it's going to end up on this list. All right, the first thing that needs to go is the 26 days. It is 100%. This was the first thing that I thought of. I immediately said it needs to go. I mean, it's weird. We're just not used to it, so it's already something new. And so obviously it's going to have to be really cool for us to be on board. On top of that, it's like the 39 days. It's just iconic at this point. We've gotten so used to it, and it's proven to work in the past. And so as a viewer, you're like, why are you changing this? Obviously, we know why they're changing this. You know, why they feel like it's better to change it because of the pandemic and because of saving money and not having them be on the island for nearly 50 days if they had to quarantine for 14 days before the season. So that would be, I guess, 53 days of total, island time for the cast, and then times that by the 2 seasons that they film back to back. That's what, 106 days. But again, it's like, do you sacrifice that for the better season, which is what I think that you would get with 39-day seasons over 26-day seasons. I also think that you have less time to build relationships, which is overall bad for the game, specifically in the post-merge, because if the merge happens at day 14 or 15, now you have 11 or 12 days in the entire post-merge, which is supposed to be like the best part of the game. And if it's only maybe a week and a half long, is that really like a big gigantic pre-merge, or is it more of like a post-merge that goes by extremely quickly? I mean, you need to get 7 boots done in that post-merge. So if you have 11 days to do it, the boots are going to go by so quickly that the players will never really have a chance to make bonds at the merge, and they will rely on pre-merge alliances, but also pre-merge bonds. And I feel like, to me, that's not as fun as watching people get to the merge, make friends, flip, things like that. And on top of that, less camp life stuff. Obviously, when you do 2-day cycles to get 26-day seasons, you're going to not have that one off day. It's probably to be like one reward challenge day and then one immunity challenge / tribal day. And I feel like when you do those 2-day cycles, that off day, although maybe not a lot of stuff happens there, you do lose out on some fun camp life scenes and just overall like actually surviving scenes like hunting or things like that. The second thing that I feel like is bad and that needs to go is trying way too hard with the twist. Obviously, the big twists like Edge of Extinction are bad, and this is more referring to stuff like the do or die twist. Like, what is that? Why is there a twist from the Price is Right on Survivor? It just doesn't make any sense. It's just kind of weird. Like, I can appreciate trying new things, but sometimes this new stuff it gets very, very cringy. Like, for an example, the hourglass, just very, very bad. I mean, it's a bad twist. It is a objectively bad twist. There is no opinion. There is only fact, and that it's a bad twist. I mean, like, an advantage that allows you to literally snag somebody's idol. Like, this isn't Goodwill. You don't just get to take it. Like, it's not how Survivor should work. And so to see them basically, like, I am going to start calling it the Goodwill advantage, because it's literally just like, can I have your idol? Please. I'm hungry. Like, I'm on the streets. Can I just have your idol? Please, please, please. Like, it's not an advantage. It's more of just like a begging tool, if anything else. Third thing, the woke stuff. I mean, it has to go, and it's weird because production acts surprised when they cast an entire cast that agrees with each other politically and is super woke, and then they get a bunch of quotes that are very cringy, like, you know, "You're so eloquent, Deshaun," or "I'm learning so much right now, Deshaun." It's just cringy. It's like, maybe for you guys that's like heartwarming, but for me that's not only scary because it's like you're pandering to somebody just because you're afraid to get canceled yourself, but then on top of that you have that being the norm. So if you don't act like that, now you're considered a racist, or, you know, things like that, or an is or an obic of something, because there's always something. It's just it's silly to me. And the fact that Survivor, a show that is about strategy, a show that, you know, that is about bonds, it's a game show, you know, it's a physical show. You know, if I wanted to watch CNN or like the Young Turks or like MSNBC, I just go there and watch that because they do news better than Survivor does. I don't want to turn on Survivor and I see news, and that's thoroughly disappointing to turn on my TV, go to Survivor, and hear about racial woke protest. It's just like it's just, I don't want to hear about that. It's just not the topic of discussion in the show. And for those in my comments who say, well, that's, you know, it's a big thing that needs to be talked about. Yeah, sure. Not here. This is not the platform. This is not the show. This is not your audience. It's just not there. Okay, now on to the good stuff. So first thing that I have is casting big personalities and mostly type A mafiosos or superfan type of archetypes. And so I know it's been kind of popular as of late. It's been the new trend to kind of hate on superfan casting, but I think it's good for the show. I think that if your cast knows the game well and has a deep love for the show, then they're going to play the game better, one, and they're two, going to play with much more emotion and much more conviction, because it means much more to them than a recruit who you think would be a good personality or would be a good player, because even that recruit hasn't seen the show enough, and the event itself isn't maybe as important to them as someone like an Adam who has waited his whole life to play, or a Spencer. Those are people who are going to put more emotion into the game and into their confessionals because they really, really appreciate the show itself. Second one I have is the dilemmas, and so this is something that I was digging from the 41 pre-merge, and that's the idea of giving people choices and opportunities to either ruin or really, really help their games. I also think that it just makes more fun if there's more people involved, and that's personally why I really liked how they did it in 41, where it was pairs, because it gives you the opportunity to lie to others or be honest with others, and that can either hurt your game both ways or help your game both ways. And also you have to lie to your tribe coming back from it too. It can definitely put a target on your back, and I think it's always interesting because it's really easy to put yourself in that person's shoes and say, well, this is the right move, this isn't, and it's easy to play, you know, armchair quarterback, which is actually pretty fun as a viewer, both as a super fan and as a casual. And the third good thing is not swapping 2 times. I mean, I think this is basic knowledge, but apparently there's people who actually are out there, people who are that weird, demented, sadist, that think that swapping twice is a good idea. I mean, there really isn't much to say here. I mean, it's just confusing, but more importantly, it's unfair, because you're now putting the entire pre-merge down to luck, and someone who's an actually good player and character can get screwed because, like, their second swap was bad. Like, that's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I think that it doesn't really help the show that much, and it's overall very, very unfair. I also want to point out that I feel like when you swap twice, it's almost like the game getting in its own way. Like, your game's already set up. I think that the Ghost Island post-merge would have been so cool if you didn't swap 3 times and have all of the Malolos just kind of get swap screwed and picked off. But instead, you get there and there's like 8, what is it, Navides, I think? And it's like, that's not fun to watch. And if they hadn't swapped a trillion times in that season, maybe we would have gotten, you know, a tribe that was more balanced, you know, a game in the post-merge that was more fluid. But instead, because we had 8 people from one tribe and what I think it was 5 or 4 from the other, it just became a game of, okay, like, we're gonna pagong them and maybe we'll flip on ourselves like 1 or 2 times. And yeah, so everyone wants to point out flaws about Survivor, me included, but I just wanted to make a point to show, you know, like, if I were in charge, how would I save Survivor? And that's it, guys. So again, thank you guys for continuously watching. None of this happens without you guys. Without you guys, I'm just a weird guy speaking into a weird microphone. If you have video ideas, put them down in the comments. I'll probably do it at some point. I just don't know if it's gonna be now or later. Thank you guys for the continuous support, and if that's, I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.